Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our channel. My name is Kenny, and folks, it's a very early morning here. We're getting ready to harvest some beans, and you've got to get out early if you want to get something done these days with such heat that we've been experiencing. And the bugs are awful. I'm talking about the mosquitoes. They are truly awful. So I am kind of bundled up a little bit to keep them from really eating me up, if you will. So you hang around and we're going to harvest some beans, okay? All right, folks, these are Blue Lake bush beans. And like I said earlier, it is very early here in the morning. And the mosquitoes are awful. So we are going to harvest the first round of these. These are very, very hardy bean, and I'm talking about they are thick on the vine. And we're going to pick probably about a half a bushel at the start here. It's very early in the morning. I've always said that a half a dozen times, but it is the only way you can do anything, folks, in the garden with such intense heat. The only way you can do anything is get out very early in the mornings and get your work done. Because I'm going to put these in a jar later on today. And you've got to take advantage of the cool mornings, because you can't do it in the intense heat. It is just too hot. But this is how you do this. You pick these by hand, and you have to just take your time. These are so hardy that I know I'll have to come back a second time after I pick these for about a week. About another week after this, I will come back for a second round. Like I said, I'll pick about a half a bushel. About a half a bushel. That's like a 5-gallon bucket full. Half a bushel. That's about a 5-gallon bucket full. But these are real good hardy beans, and we look forward to putting them in a jar very shortly this afternoon. We are nearing the end of this picking here this morning, folks. We are just about to get through. We have got about a half a bushel of these beautiful Blue Lake bush beans. It's took me about probably a half hour to do this. So this is the first step, is to just get these beautiful beans in a container, and then the next step will follow immediately with getting the strings. Well, these are stringless, actually. These are stringless, but you still got to take the tips of them off. So we're going to finish up this little amount that we have gotten picked here, which is actually around a half a bushel or a little bit more. And then the next step, we're going to go ahead and take the tips of them off and begin the process of putting them into a jar. All right, folks, we have finished our morning bean picking, if you will, and we are back at our house. It's taken us a little while to do this, but let me tell you, these are beautiful beans, and we're going to give you step-by-step instructions on how we process these beans. So we're going to take the strings off of these. Well, not the strings, I keep saying that because this is our first year of growing these Blue Lake stringless beans. So we're going to take the tips of them off. As you can see, that little tip there, it just comes off like that, snaps off, and there's no string to it. So we're going to put these into a jar, and we'll give you step-by-step instruction as to how we do it. When I talk about a jar, of course, I'm talking about a quart canning jar. We will put these in. There's about a half a bushel here, so it's going to probably take about, I don't know, probably maybe a dozen quart jars. I'm not sure. We'll see. So we're going to get right into this. All right, folks, I want to show you the process of this. I'm talking about, we have put these right here. You can see we have took our hands, and they have been snapped and broken and transformed from that to that. These beans are young and tender and juicy, and a lot of times you will find that beans are kind of tough and really not that juicy, but these are just the opposite of that. They are very, very tender, and they are very, very juicy. So the next step will be to this here. As you can see, we've got just a few of these left, and we have got about a half a bushel here that we are going to put in a mason jar. And it took us a little while to break these up, snap them. It's so simple. It's a process. You can see what I'm doing. Do that with your fingers. And of course you will use two hands. I'm holding the camera with this other one here, so you can see how easy it is to do that. Now we will put these, like I said, in a mason jar, and we'll show you the finished product in a very short time. All right, folks, we are ready to put these. These have been thoroughly washed. As you can see, these beans have been thoroughly washed, and they're ready to go into the jar. And I've already got it started here. They're thoroughly washed, and we're going to fill these jars, really stuff them well down in this. Now, it's very important to make sure that if you're a beginner at putting food away into a container like this, you need to make sure that you start with a sterilized jar. Now, that's very important. You do not want to let anything creep inside here by the jar not being thoroughly sterilized. And I'm talking about sterilized, I mean you put them in boiling hot water at least for a minute, so that all of those bad boys can be killed in that boiling water. And also your lids. You do want to make sure that you let your lids be in the same manner. And I'm talking about in hot boiling water. That's extremely important, because that will assure you that your product is going to be totally germ-free when you put the lids on them. So we're going to go finish up with this. We're going to finish filling these jars with the beans. Now, these have been thoroughly washed, folks. They have been thoroughly washed, and we're going to put them in the jar, and then we're going to move them over to the pressure canner one at a time. As you can see, the water is beginning to get a little hot in this. We're going to add them to it as soon as we fill them, and then we will take it from there. So this is a step-by-step instruction so that you can easily understand how we process this. This is a process that's slow, but you've got to take your time doing this. All right, folks, There's one other thing I want to mention to you before I put this into the pressure canner. I want you to know that it's very important the type of water that you use when you get ready to put your water into the container. As you can see, I'm going to fill this up with water up to about within an inch within an inch of the top of the ring around the jar. But let me repeat again, make sure that this is spring water that you put in your beans. Now you can put warm or cold water in the beans, but you don't want to put what we call city water into your beans, because that water that comes out of your tap has got a ton of toxins inside of it, and you don't want to put toxins in your fresh canned beans. So that is extremely important. So I will put the lid on this one. You don't have to tighten the lid extremely tight, because you will do that after you take it out of the pressure canner. Just enough to keep it from bubbling out, because most of that water, it will almost evaporate, but there will be a lot more left in there after you take it out of the pressure canner. So I have got a 7-quart pressure canner, and these are ready for the pressure canner. All right, folks, these are ready to go into, they are in the pressure canner. So right here is these little instruments. I don't know if you can see those on the camera, but right here is a little what we call a jogger, or whatever he's called. I call it a jogger. When that thing starts getting really hot, if you're not familiar with a pressure canner, that thing is just like an alarm clock, only steam activates it. It will be activated by steam, and that is a clue for you to know that your beans are just about ready, or they will become ready very shortly after this thing goes off. So we thought we would tell you that. But this is the way our forefathers prepared their food for the winter. And it would be wonderful if most people would actually get back to this old time way. Our forefathers prepared these, folks, but they didn't have a pressure canner like this. No, they did not. They used an old conventional way of preparing their beans. They cooked them mostly outside, which I would have loved to have done that with these, but it's too hot outside right now, so I have to do it in here. But they used a conventional kettle, and they would cook their beans outside. It took a lot longer, but that's the way they did it. But this is an old-fashioned way here, even as we speak, using a pressure canner. Not a tremendous amount of people use those anymore, but I guess you could call me old school, because I like doing this stuff, and it's okay with me, and it works for me. And we thought we would give you that little thing there as well. So this will take about approximately maybe a half hour for it to begin to start really bubbling and boiling. Okay, folks, you can see now that this pressure canner, that little bobble on the top, it is spinning around and making a lot of noise. That tells me one thing. That tells me that my beans are getting well done. Well, let's put it this way. I only cook them about half. So right now this has started moving, and it's singing. So I have turned mine off, and I will let them cook 5 more minutes, and then we will take them off, and they will be about half done. They'll be 50%. About 50% is all that I cook my beans. Other people will do more than that. Some will do less than that. But I usually cook them about 50% in the pressure canner. And I get better results by doing that. And that's the reason I do it, really, because you don't want to overcook them, and you can do that. So we will take these out in about 5 more minutes. Folks, we are letting all the steam out of this. As you can see, most of it is already out. This bobbler up here is, I have got the lid off of it. You have got to be very careful with the pressure canner. You will either burn yourself up, or you could cause some severe burns with it if you're not careful. Be very careful with a pressure canner, because they can be very dangerous. But you follow some instructions and you'll be okay. But this one is just about out of steam. I would not be touching this with my finger if it wasn't. This little thing here indicates most of the steam is gone, and I don't think you can see that with the camera, but it's telling me that most of the steam is gone. So we're going to let every bit of this steam out of this thing, and then we're going to remove the lid and take out the contents. All right, folks, as you can see, this is the finished product. We have got these beans out, and they are extremely hot. I just took them out with a pair of tongs, and let me tell you, the lids have not been sealed. You could probably almost see the bubble. They're still bubbling inside just a little bit, but that's okay. We're going to let these cool down for a couple of hours, and then we will seal the lids. We will seal the lids, and they are done. So we have took this from the garden right to the can, the jar, if you will, and they are ready. They are half cooked, and we have done this, and we are so glad that we have got this done, because it is pouring the rain outside, and I'm looking to go get into it. So we appreciate you this afternoon for watching our videos. We hope that you've enjoyed what we have done, and we hope that we've helped you with this old-fashioned way of putting away green beans. So listen, we appreciate you for watching our videos, and we hope that you've enjoyed this. So let us know what you think about this. Send us your comments and let us know what you think about it, as well as click on that like button for us, and we would appreciate it. And as always, we would say to you, if you haven't already, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And listen, you have a wonderful, blessed day, and we will talk to you